Welcome, Veritas family. Thank you so much for joining us here at Give and Take. I'm Sherry Davis, and I am here with Dr. John Edmonds. As you can see, Dr. Edmonds is on location. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, Sherry, great to be with you today.
So glad you could make it. You could squeeze us into your travel schedule. Thanks so much for pulling off the road and joining us today. Tell us where you're heading.
Yeah, I'm headed down to Pensacola to see my mom for a few days. So I will, work during the day. That's one thing great about working remotely. I can work during the day, then visit at night. So
And
I'm just south of Montgomery, Alabama right now. I stopped at an industrial park. I'm on the backside. It was kind of quiet here though. And so I had my sunglasses on, my hat to protect myself. It's nice, like 75 degrees here, beautiful day
yeah,
in southern Alabama. Not too humid yet, so thankful for that.
the epitome of a perfect day. So thanks so much for squeezing us in.
Yes, great to
So
be
I
here.
want to make sure that we note since the last time you were on our show, you have you were conferred your doctoral degree. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us what the name of your degree is and when that was conferred for you.
Sure, it's a PhD in theological studies. I defended in the middle of November, and as soon as I defended, then actually they called me doctor. Then they said, "Hey, my mentor after the whole defense, like a 3 hour defense, he said, let me be the first one to call you Dr. John Edmonds." And then the degree was conferred officially in December.
Oh, that is
So I
so fun.
glad to be done with that. That's been ahead of me, over my head, for many years now. And so glad to have that behind me in totality now.
Well, we are excited for you. Congratulations on that major milestone in life that very few people actually get to, and very few actually finish. So fewer start, and then even fewer finish. So, I will just as a reminder, if you're watching us live or in replay, be sure to tell us in the comments where you're watching from, and if you might know Dr. Edmonds from class, he's an instructor for us. He's department chair here at Veritas, travels for us on occasion. So let us know how you might know him. Tell us in the comments. Since he's a repeat offender, we're going to have him jump right into Ministry Matters, which is just the folks that come on will just share their heart. So just jump right in, John, and tell us what's on your heart.
Sure, I will, Sherry. Thanks again for inviting me. I really enjoyed last September when I had the opportunity to be with you all. And so today, I just want to I got 5 points I want to talk about. I'm talking about caring for people. And you could say all kinds of things about ministry, the heart of ministry, what that is. And when you talk about caring for people, there are all kinds of points you can make about it.
Hmm.
I just have 5 short points. Some of them may not be points people necessarily think about as part of caring for people, but I'm going to explain why I have the 5 points that I do. And clearly, this is not exhaustive.
Sure.
You could say 100 things about caring for people. But I actually have 5 things. The first one is be kind. Just be kind to people.
That's
And as I
good.
talk about caring for people, I'm talking about caring for people in general in life, having a heart for people around you.
Hmm.
And so, I think of the Apostle Paul in First Thessalonians talks about the people at Thessalonica, how he cared for them as a father does for his children, as a nurse cares for people, a nurse who's taking care of children. And so, I think about just being someone who is kind, just sincerely kind to people around you. Now, we all know people that we hate to see them coming because we know that kindness is not their forte.
Right.
They need to be grumpy people in life in general.
Yeah.
That's not how God just wants us to be kind people.
Or
You know,
even the ones that you see coming that you don't feel the kindness is genuine, meaning they're maybe trying to get to an agenda or something. So the genuine kindness is so key. Penny says she's watching from Fredericksburg, and Denny in Antigua says hello. He says he loves the view.
hey, well, great. Hey, thanks, Denny. This is a great view behind me. Nice sunshine soaked. And so it's great to be here in Southern Alabama. Share what you talk about. Penny and I often talk about that same topic about being
Yeah.
genuinely kind.
Yeah.
I talk about what you're talking about is like a used car salesman. You
Yes.
know, I know there are some good used cars. There are some good used car salesmen. I don't want this to be stereotypical,
Right.
but I talk to a lot of salesmen in general, and you just think about okay, why are you being kind to me right here?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
are you
yeah.
saying that to me? What are you trying to sell me?
That's right.
I will say one thing about a person, a business person. She worked with insurance. I may have told you a story before. I can't remember. Her name was Anita Rosenau, and she was just a genuinely kind person. People she worked with. I
Mm,
worked for a Pensacola Christian College for many years. For the first several years, worked with insurance for them. Anita was our insurance agent, so she sold insurance. Um, but I remember when I was done with insurance. I not worked for them for a while. I really didn't see Anita much anymore. But
mhm,
occasionally, once I was teaching at Pensacola, I would see her come across to the college campus. And this is now I am no longer involved with insurance. I haven't seen her to work with her for a couple of years. But for Penny and I got married, she sent us a wedding gift.
oh,
Uh, and then, after we got married 4 years later, Emma was born. Somehow Anita saw me, and somehow she knew my daughter's name. And when she saw me on campus, her question right away is, "Hey, John, how are Penny and Emma doing?"
oh,
I
wow.
thought, "Wow,
Yeah,
how do you?" I mean, she doesn't. She never even. She may have met Emma in passing one time
right.
somehow,
Yeah,
but this many years later, she's no longer trying to sell me anything. She just I use her kind of as an example. The business person, it was just her life to know people
right.
and to be kind to people. And I think if a person in the insurance industry can do that, then we certainly involved in Christian ministry ought
Right.
even more so just be genuinely kind
Yeah,
and not be kind, like you say, with an agenda.
yeah.
uh, just be a kind person, and with kindness, and I can say a lot more about that, but I don't want to, I want to get to all five here. Another one, just be patient with people.
Yeah.
Be patient. I in my life had people who have been patient with me, and sometimes it's easy to focus on the task that has to be done rather than growing the people that are involved in getting the task done.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think part of being patient, people need to understand there is room for making a mistake and recovering from that
Mm,
and going on, and accomplishing great things for God.
yeah,
People ought not walk on pins and needles as if, if I make a mistake, then my boss is going to bring the hammer down, or
right,
this is
right,
going to be so terrible. I know we all hate making mistakes,
right.
but we all do. We all do make mistakes. We all. I wish I.
Dr. Forrester used to say years ago, he used to say ministry is messy and you've got to let people be messy. And then you come in alongside them and then you help them and mentor and lead as needed, but they're messy. And I
Yes.
always appreciated that philosophy because it gave me some grace and space and it allowed me to learn how to have grace and space with others. Dave Anderson's watching from Twin Cities. Hey, Dave, thanks for popping in today.
Yeah, and also sharing when I was in Dallas area, the pastor there often quoted this verse: "Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much
Mm.
increases by the strength of the ox."
Oh, good
And
point.
that same principle we talked about, Dr. Forrester. Yeah, ministry is going to be messy with people,
Yeah.
but God calls us to work with people, and if it
Hmm.
weren't for people, there'd be no ministry. And
That's
so
right.
some people are more patient than others, obviously,
Yeah,
but we all ought to work at being patient, because if we do really care for people, we're going to learn to have patience with them. We're going to want to, we don't want to excuse laziness, obviously, and
right,
people that are just doing wrong
right,
because they don't care.
right.
But when somebody who's really trying to work and do right, and they really want to serve God, and they just made a wrong decision.
Yeah,
Okay, let's work through that. And along with talking about making decisions, as you care for people, you're going to give them allowance to make decisions.
that's right.
Um, because, you know, you got to delegate. It's not necessarily just being patient, but you do have to delegate, and you got to help people grow. And we all know part of the growth process is you don't always get it right.
That's right. And it
Um,
can be especially different learning styles versus different leading styles. You might match up with an employer or even a child, at
yes,
in the home. You might click with one better than the other, but that doesn't mean that you're absolved of being patient. You've got
right.
you've got to just push through and be patient with them. So that's a good point.
Yeah, and you and I have worked together, for a number of years,
Yes.
and so we both have had to say, "Hey, that was my fault. I'm sorry about that." And
Lots.
that's just what a good work relationship has.
Sure.
You have forgiveness,
Yep.
and so in my wife and my relationship over the many years that we've been married, we have often quoted actually a line that came from a David Copperfield movie, where a guy talks about love and forgiveness.
Oh, hmm.
And I know this goes a little more beyond being patient, but just love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
If somebody messes up, be patient with them, help them grow. And so I got to move along to the next one. The next one, people may not necessarily think about being caring, but that is be punctual.
Ooh,
Care
that's
enough
good.
about care enough about people to be on time
Yeah,
because you value them.
that's right.
Um, when I was, you value their time as a person. When I was in Texas at the same pastor I was talking about a moment ago, he was a punctual person. He said, "I care enough about you to be on time.
Yeah.
You care enough about me to be on time."
Yeah, it's good.
And so that is good. Sometimes people that are selfishly that are late habitually, it really reveals an issue they need to take care of in their life. I think of you. You have seen literature movies, Sherry, where the lord and ladies of the manor, so to speak, they
Yes.
always were fashionably late.
Right.
They were fashionably late, so all the attention would be on them when they got there.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's people's heart today in ministry. I'm not saying they're thinking, "Oh, look at me, I want to be late to make a big entrance." But I will say, when we are late habitually, we are telling people, "I don't care enough about you to be on time."
Sure.
Uh, And so I think if they about caring for people, just let them know, hey, your time is important to me. I appreciate your being here. And so, this was easy in my life growing up because when I was a kid, if we weren't 25 minutes early to church, we know we weren't on time. That's the way my
Right.
dad just was. If we were there at 5 till, we were late.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And so just be punctual. You say I'm going to meet you at 7:30. Be there at 7:30 or whatever the case may be.
I think
And
that's very important, and I think it's a difficult thing to learn because when you're late, you don't view it as the disrespect you're talking about. You're just like,
right,
oh,
yeah,
well, my life is, it's just busy, and you haven't, whatever. We'll go with the flow. But when it boils down to, it's disrespectful, and so
right.
then once you can convey that, then they start to be, oh boy, I did not realize it was coming across like that, and I think that's important to include here. I appreciate your putting that in
Oh,
there.
you're welcome, Sherry. And you're right. Most people don't think about this. Most people think about, oh, I'm just a late person.
Yeah,
Well, what if I say, and people, I'm part Irish, and some people say, my Irish blood, I just have a hot head.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Can I use my Irish background to say, look, I just get angry easily? No,
yeah.
I can't say that. So
Right.
I have to work to be better and do better.
Right.
And so I think let
Exactly.
people know you care about them, about how you treat them with their time and your time, is something that's important.
Yeah.
And another thing is be honest. Just
Oh
be
yeah.
honest with people. Now, this gets back to kind of the used car salesman mentality, the stereotypical
Sure.
idea where you think, why are you telling me what you're telling me? But just be honest with somebody.
Yeah.
If they ask you about something, don't try to don't try care enough about them to say, yeah, this is what the truth is. This is what it is. Don't try to paint it in a way so that it's not clear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So just be honest with people. You
Well,
know,
sometimes that comes from like if you're like we talked about being messy or having messed up, you've made an error and it's easy to fudge the circumstances to make yourself look a little better. I used to tell I could, any employee that comes, if you are eager to learn and you're willing to say that you goofed, we can learn the rest. The rest of it will come. But
right? Yeah.
if you're not eager to learn and you're certainly not willing to say that you messed up, then we're gonna have a hard time. And I think that's sometimes where the honesty comes into play there.
I think in ministry too, Sherry. Also, when I think about honesty, I think about being honest with people you're ministering to.
Yeah.
Um, where a couple of different things. One thing today, for some reason, when somebody makes a mistake and we're mentoring them or ministering to them, some people have the mentality, oh, don't tell them they're wrong. That's going to hurt their self esteem.
Mm, sure.
But what they need to hear is this is wrong, but this is how you fix it, and this is how you make it better. And so, I'm going to bleed into my fifth point in a little bit here, but when you talk with somebody, I have known people who tried to confront a problem before, and they talk around it so much.
Yeah.
You wonder, okay, what were they even talking about?
Right.
And were they trying to point out an error I did?
Right.
Or, so be honest with people. Just say, hey, this was this was not the best way to do this, but I appreciate your heart. Whatever the situation may be.
Right.
But just clearly tell people as you minister with them, as you work with people, as you mentor, your church, whatever. Just be honest with people about things that need to be corrected.
Right.
I think of Jesus, and how he, on more than one occasion, was just blunt with some of his disciples.
Sure.
I think of Peter when Jesus says, "I'm going to have to go to the cross and be crucified," and Peter said, "Not so, Lord. That's not going to happen to you."
Right.
And Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan."
Mm.
Now, I have never called anybody Satan, but Jesus said that clearly to Peter,
Yeah.
because Peter was was going down Satan's mindset and not
Right.
God's mindset.
Right.
And I think of James and John. They're going through Samaria. They come to town of Samaria. The Samaritans won't receive them, and Peter and John said, "Hey, let's just call down fire from heaven and burn them up." And I'm sorry, James and John. Let's just call down fire and burn them up. And Jesus says, you don't know what man or spirit I'm of. You guys are all wrong. You don't even understand who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish
Right.
here. And so sometimes people in the heart of love and kindness need to be called out and said, hey, that isn't right. That's not what we should be doing.
Mm.
But another thing about being honest is, and this has come up sometimes, like in a classroom or in a Bible study, where sometimes the mentality is, don't ever tell somebody that the way they're interpreting scripture is wrong.
Hmm.
And I've been in people before where they try to say, hey, look, when you have a Bible study and somebody gives a thought, never say that that's not right. Say some things like, well, that's a nice perspective, or that's interesting, or I may not see that, but hey, you see that, okay. What that conveys is that there really is no right interpretation, and that what you're saying is just as valid as what the actual interpretation is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and just personally, John, what I like about you as a leader is that you are you will call whatever needs to be dealt with, and that's not, you don't shy away from that, but it is so concerted or very strategic, or when it is actually necessary, meaning you don't mess with preferences. You're not constantly going to people and telling them that they need to change this, that, and the other. Meaning when those conversations do happen, they mean a lot. It's like, oh, wow,
Right. Yes.
that makes sense. Where you're not wasting breath on things that are preferences or fuzzy or gray areas. But when something is directly needing to be addressed, those isolated times, I know from a coworker standpoint is very like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yep, I appreciate that heads up.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sherry, about dealing with people, and that brings up the point that sometimes people ministry make a major thing out of everything.
Right.
And if you don't see it my way, if
Yep.
you don't believe that this is right, then you don't even. I'll be a little sarcastic here, but
Sure.
you don't love God. I'm not going to see you in heaven.
Right.
Very, very extreme. And you're exactly right. If we don't allow people, I mean, there are some Bible verses. Well, sure, your opinion, what you believe, may be just as valid as what I believe that verse means.
Right.
But we all know there are some verses that are crystal clear.
That's right.
Like, if the person doesn't believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ bodily,
Yep.
they're not a Christian, no matter what else they say.
Yep. Yep.
So I think being honest with people helps them. And there is this mentality in Christianity at large today, a pluralistic view of religion and Christianity, where, hey, you may be a Muslim or you may be a Jehovah's Witness, but hey, we're all trying to get to heaven the way we know how.
Right.
And I'm sure God will accept whatever we do. No, God won't accept whatever we do.
Yeah.
And so we need to, and with love and kindness,
Mm-hmm.
passion, talk to people honestly and say, this is what the Bible says, and this is what this is the only way to heaven. I know that is one example that we all would agree on without doubt. But there are many things in life, as you mentioned, that we ought to be clear, but not everything, as you talked about, needs to be, a major conversation. And
Right.
you're exactly right. We only have so much social capital with people, so to
That's
speak.
right.
And if you burn it up,
That's right.
then you got to get it back somehow. You got to earn more, so to speak.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so that's why you're exactly right. Choose things wisely.
Mhm.
And, you know, I worked with one pastor years ago, and he was comparing himself and me to somebody else. And he was saying, when there's a fly on the wall, the pastor, I use a sledgehammer to kill it.
Whew.
John uses a fly swatter. The point he was making was, hey, sometimes he may kill the fly, but what else is damage to the process?
That's right.
And
That's
so
exactly right.
that gets back to what you're talking about. My fifth one, my last one is, and this gets what we've been talking about, is be clear. I've
Okay.
already kind of broached into this.
Yeah.
My wife has said, and this actually rolls back around to kindness.
Mm.
My wife has says, clear is kind. And I
Yeah.
like that statement. Clear is kind.
Uh-huh.
That has all kinds. When you give directions, clear directions are kind. But even when you have to confront things that are not right, being clear with a heart of love is kind to that person. You
Yeah.
go and you say, hey, I know you're wanting to do the right thing, but this was just the wrong way to handle this. Let me help you think through this and do this in a different way in the future. And if you have the right kind of heart, you don't come and say, hey, what were you thinking? That's
Yeah.
crazy. What was your mind?
Yeah.
And sadly, some people do react that way.
Yes. And we've
But
all
if
experienced it, and that has given us walls up. It keeps you from
exactly,
actually hearing those who really have your best interest at heart.
you're exactly right. And I think part of this whole idea of dealing with people in ministry and caring for them and showing you care for them is they know that you're transparent with them, and they know that you do genuinely care about them,
Yeah.
and that you don't portray yourself as somebody who's mastered everything. I've got everything together. You portray yourself as a person who also has flaws. You're working to become more like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Uh,
We've got Brother Wagner from Winston-Salem says hello. Um, you're if you do kind and patient and honest, then punctual and clear are the benefits, the privileges that you get. Like if you're
right?
kind
Yes.
to people and you're patient and you're honest with them, then when you're having these hard talks, they're going to receive it because they value you, they understand where you're coming from. I think those are
Yeah.
really, really great points.
And this gets back to what we talk about is the idea of just relationship. I know we're running along, so I'll stop right there. But it gets back to building a relationship. Don't just care about the task, care about people. And when you do that fundamentally, these five things are going to come really easily, as you mentioned. Okay,
Yeah,
sure. I think I
that's
don't want to cut you
great.
off, but
Yeah,
I don't want to run longer either. So
no, that's okay. That's really great. That's really great info. So I'm gonna have that posted afterwards as well. So we don't want to forget our s'mores though. Our top
yes,
four
yes, yes,
are best dinners. So
yes.
this wasn't relegated to a restaurant or made at home. I was in my mind thinking made at home, but whatever you have is gonna be fine. So you go ahead first. And what is your top first dinner, best dinner?
Okay, These mine are all homemade, is what I have in
Yeah.
my mind.
Okay,
So
me too.
the meat would be salmon.
Okay, I
Salmon that
wondered. I had a feeling there would be fish top of the list because I knew your family really likes to have fish.
yes. And so salmon seared in with olive oil in a skillet. And then as a side, I could do about all kinds of sides. I could do carrots and cabbage. I could do a sweet potato. I do like a side salad that has like craisins and blue cheese on it. Not
Yum.
iceberg lettuce. Iceberg lettuce is a waste of eating. Uh, but
Tell
like
us what you really think about iceberg lettuce, John.
spring mix, romaine, something like that. That gives you a good, healthy lettuce. So that would be my top, probably one of my top meals, if not my favorite.
Okay, I figured seafood would be real high on the list, if not number one. So I got that right at least. All right, so my number one is I love a good burger. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
I can have them. I very rarely order them at restaurants because I like what we do at home so much. But I love a good burger, and I'm a fixins kind of person. So the more the
Oh, right,
merrier. If
yes.
it's juicy and running down your hands, otherwise it's not really real. So I love burger, and I don't do fries a lot of the time, but I do love a good fried pickle. Now you're heading
Oh,
south, which
yes,
means
yes,
fried pickles
yes,
are on the menu a lot of places down there.
yes,
So I do envy
yes.
you for that.
Now,
So all
now, do
right.
you like your hamburgers well done or medium, or how do you like yours?
Okay, so when I was growing up, it was always well done, but as I've gotten older, I can tell I can do more medium or medium well. I
Okay.
have learned to do that a little bit better. But I do love and frankly, I love we don't have a lot of these around, but have you ever heard of the restaurant Fuddruckers?
Oh, yes, I have. Yes.
Okay, so you can get their burgers, which are good. It's crazy expensive now, but their burgers are good. But then you go to that like salad bar and put as
Oh,
much
yes,
fixings
yes,
and stuff. Okay, that's
yes.
my ideal place for burgers for sure.
You know, when I was younger, well, even now I like my steaks like medium or even medium rare I can eat, but my
Okay.
hamburgers I still like well done. So that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Got it.
You
Okay,
know, my
what's
number
your
two.
yeah, what's your number two?
My number two, I wouldn't say hamburgers, but I'll pivot from that. And I'll say something that I like a lot that my wife and I have just gotten into eating a lot lately. And that is you take a bowl, on the bottom, you put basmati rice.
Okay.
And then on top of that, you saute cabbage, green cabbage, and carrots in a pan together. And then you put them next. And then you put in some good blue cheese in there. And then you top it with the meat of your choice, whether that's fish, or lately we've been using a lot. BJ's Club has these little chicken strips that are just chicken breast cut up.
Yeah,
They're like chicken tenders, kind of actually what they
right.
are. And so we've been eating those a lot lately.
So is
Uh,
it like Asian? What kind of sauce are we talking about?
no, I'm not a big sauce person.
Okay.
I will use soy sauce sometimes, but often I'll just take the water that's left at the bottom of the pan of sauteing the vegetables and just dump that in the bottom of mine.
Okay. Okay. So what is the type of rice you said? Is it basmati?
Basmati rice. Yes,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to write all of that out, and since it doesn't have a clear top title, but I will do it.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
All right, my number two is I just generalize with Mexican food because I pretty much like
Right.
all of it. But what I really like to do is like a Chipotle bowl. Like at
Oh,
home,
right.
we'll
Yes.
do grilled chicken or beef, whatever we've got, and then load it with all the toppings of Mexican. And I just love a good Mexican food. But I have also done enchiladas at home, and of course tacos for the kids and stuff. So Mexican food you can't go wrong with. So. Um,
Yeah. You're right about that. And what I'm going to say could be Mexican. I'll tell you something I've done. Penny, I started doing this in the last year. I've always liked roast beef a lot. I grew up eating
yeah,
roast beef, on some occasions. It's typical roast beef, carrots, potatoes.
yeah.
We don't always do that, but what we were doing the last year is we're going to have a roast beef, and then we take some cherry juice concentrate, put like a quarter of a cup in that, gives it a nice flavor, and then bay leaves, garlic powder, onion powder. You let that go slow for like 6 hours, whatever,
Okay.
and then eat that with all kinds of different foods. Sometimes in a burrito shell, soft
Okay.
burrito, wrap it up with Mexican style.
Yeah.
But that is the foundation. That kind of beef.
Like a barbacoa kind of idea.
Yeah, kind of that idea, but
Okay.
it's not it's not soaked in juice like barbacoa
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
is. It's drier every time I pull it out. I
Okay.
sometimes put juice in it. And it's a little different flavor, but that's one of my that with again baked potato to the side, baked potato, sweet potato.
So is this
Uh
your number three? Are you describing your number
yeah, my
three?
number three. Yeah, my number three. That's my number
Okay.
three.
What
It
was
would be
the
it
type
would
of beef
be
again?
it would be a pork a beef roast, chuck roast,
Yep.
pot roast.
Yep.
And then to the side, long string green beans.
Okay.
You like those fresh green beans? You like those?
Yeah, my mom does really, really yummy. I don't think they're the long kind, they're the just out of the can, but they're
Oh,
delicious.
yes.
So I do love green beans.
We like the fresh green beans. Just saute them in a pan a little bit, olive oil, salt, and pepper.
Yum.
And so have that as a side. And then as the other side, baked potato, baked sweet potato, um, a lot of different stuff.
Okay.
That the protein would be the chuck roast.
So Darla says the best meal is salmon with Brussels sprouts. Now, I
Oh, yes.
do love Brussels sprouts, especially when I can do them in the air fryer and they can be kind of crispy. Is that how you fix
Yes.
it, Darla?
You know,
Um,
is that how Darla does them?
Yeah, Darla does that. And then Daniel Schaefer in Denham Springs, Louisiana says hello. You're heading south, getting closer to
Yes,
him as you're
yes,
traveling.
yes.
Brother Wagner put a comment from back in your talk about caring for people. It says VBC has these things in spades in our faculty. And I'd agree with that, Brian. I would agree that we have the best faculty for sure. Okay, so my number 3 is going to be very boring and I'm probably going to lose as a result of this, but it's just a really good salad with protein.
Oh yes,
And,
for sure.
and sometimes our salad, especially at home, will be a burger. So once we'll do the burger and then we'll just have the whole island full of toppings and whatever we're making the salad from. So I love a good salad. And I know that people think that as a health food and surely it is, but not the way I make it. When I got so much stuff on there, it is no longer healthy, but it is very delicious. So
Yeah, that is something that Penny and I do a lot. Actually, we have a lot of salads like that, and so yeah, that can easily be my number 4. And I like, I'm not a big, oddly enough, I'm not a big salad dressing person, so I
okay,
will use very little salad dressing.
okay,
Usually some kind of balsamic vinaigrette, uh,
okay,
or
got it.
Thousand Island as a switch off every once in a while.
Yeah, that is good. I like
Yeah, I
that.
like a good salad, and this restaurant that is going out, a lot of them are shutting down, but Ruby Tuesday has a great salad bar with,
Yes,
they have some of the best croutons, that
yes,
I
it
put
did.
bread or
Yes,
whatever
it
it
did,
was.
John. Whew, those were so good. I used to get a whole
Yes,
separate plate just of those croutons. Like I'd have my
yes,
salad over here and then a
yes,
separate plate for the croutons.
yes.
Now you're making me
So,
hungry. Now it's time for lunch. You're gonna have to go get something to eat after that.
and then my fourth one, is, I would say pizza in some way.
Okay.
Now, what have you ever had the Chef Boyardee pizza mix?
No, but I think Adam's family used to eat it a lot.
Yeah, Penny and I eat that. We don't eat it once a month even,
Yeah.
but that's something that we like a lot. We'll
Uh-huh.
make one big pizza out of it and put hamburger on it,
Oh yeah.
cooked beef, and then a lot of cheese. And
Hmm.
so that is, pizza in some way would be a thing we like a lot, that I like a lot.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think you can go wrong with that.
oh, exactly. So I'll round that off at the end.
So
We didn't say steak or baked potatoes here. Neither one of us have said that yet.
I know, and
Uh,
I felt like that was going to be on there, so I didn't put it on mine. So to round mine off at the end, my mom makes the best potato soup. And so I
okay, yes,
realize that
yes,
may not be everybody's cup of tea for a dinner. Usually it includes a protein or whatever, but her potato soup is legendary. So anytime, and she'll make it like with our family, it'll be like a full 10 pounds and this huge, cauldron basically. And then have family over and it's just part of the lore of our family. So we love
right,
potato soup. So that is my number.
yes.
All right, so just to recap, I've got salmon seared with olive oil and a side. Number 2 for you is basmati rice, carrots, cabbage, blue cheese, and a protein, beef roast, and a long string beans, and baked potato, and then some form of pizza.
Right. Beautiful. Sounds great.
All right, now that is quite the list. And then I have burger, Mexican food, salad with protein, and potato soup. So I will get that posted. Darla says she cooks her Brussels sprouts in skillet with olive oil, salt, pepper, and a touch of soy sauce. Yeah, that sounds
Oh
good. I
yes,
love a good
yes.
Brussels sprout.
Yeah,
So
Penny, like my wife likes Brussels sprouts a lot.
yeah, I didn't think I did until I started. Somebody had them in an air fryer and crisped up the outside and got real crispy. And I was like, okay, now
Yes.
now we're talking.
Yeah, yeah.
Brian says I just had a delicious fried chimichanga with shrimp meal. So he's right on my team with that. He's already had Mexican today. So
And now, does your mom put bacon in her potato soup?
my mom puts bacon in everything.
Okay.
So there's at least bacon as a side on pretty much everything. Now, I don't think she puts it in the soup for those who don't love that crunch,
Right,
but
right,
it's always on the table. So we
right.
always have some for sure.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that makes it better for certain.
You betcha. It makes everything better. So, all
Yes,
right, John.
yes.
Well, hey, thanks so much for popping in and thanks so much for taking time out of your travel to join us. Like hashtag my Veritas travels. I love to see that. Be safe on your way to your mom's, and I hope you enjoy your visit. And we'll talk next time.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sherry. Good to be with you all again.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.